Hello everybody and welcome to another fretboard diagram video. Today's topic is going to talk about the major scale and three consecutive notes within the major scale, how they have relationship to one another and observing tendencies within that. And so to start with, I've laid out the major scale starting on the B string just because C is on the first fret and I can get all the way to D. So in three adjacent notes in the major scale, we're always going to arrive at one of three patterns when it comes to intervals, and those three patterns would either be whole step, if we start from C, for example, whole step, or half step, whole step. So in order to prove that, let's take C and go ahead and move it over here to this fretboard diagram. And when we just look at it, starting from the first note of the C major scale, we have whole step, whole step. Additionally, if we were to start from F, we have, I'll bring it all the way over here, we have similarly whole step, whole step. So it's the same interval distance, obviously different notes, but the same interval distance when we start from F. Then similarly, if we start from G, just so we can see it, bring it all the way over here. Now we have the same interval distance right here. So there's seven unique notes in a major scale if we start from the C or the 1, the F or the 4, or the G or the 5. Each time, starting from those notes, if we're going to stay within the major scale, we have two whole steps built upon them. And that's one of the three possible patterns within the major scale, is a whole step pattern. So I'll go ahead and get rid of these now. Now the next possible pattern that can happen is the whole step, half step pattern. And we see that we have that starting on the D or the 2. So we're using C as an example, but this would happen in any major scale because all major scales are constructed in the same set of intervals. They all start with a note, and then their next note is a whole step away, and then a whole step, and then a half step, and so on and so forth, just like you see here. We've just chosen C to be the example. So similar to D, now we have A, which has the same pattern of whole step, half step. So off 2 or off 2 or D or A or the 6th of the scale, we have this whole step, half step pattern. So that leaves us with one more pattern, and that's the half step, whole step pattern. And that happens on the E, and then that happens on the B. So we have whole, 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 half, or half, whole. Those are the only three possibilities if you're going with three adjacent notes within a major scale. So why is that important? For multiple reasons, but say you are, you're picking along to a song and you find a note that works with the song that you're hearing, and you're pretty confident that the song is not too far off from a major scale. This means that building off of that, your options are going to be, your first option is the next note that might go with it a half step away, or is it a whole step away? If it's a whole step away, then your next option is going to be either a whole step or a half step. If it's a half step away, your next option is going to be a whole step or a half step. But from there, you can kind of deduce what comes next based on one of these three patterns being either whole whole, whole half, or half whole. So when you break it down and make those observations, you realize that three note patterns will help you understand the scale a lot deeper, because each of these patterns fall into one of three categories. Let me know what you think. Leave a comment. Don't leave a comment. Like, dislike. Hope you enjoyed it. Have a good night.